Today is Tuesday, April 24th, 2012, and we are interviewing Steve Sherwood at the Illinois State Library. Mr. Sherwood is 54 years old.
60 years old.
Okay.
I haven't lived in Illinois my whole life.
Okay, 60 years old, having been born on, I didn't look at the birthday, I should have done that, January 16th, 1952. My name is Michelle Shorefeide, and I will be the interviewer. Mr. Sherwood, could you state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
Okay, I served in the United States Army during the Vietnam era, but I did not serve in Vietnam, so I never served in combat.
Okay. Were you?
I was, after I got out of training at Fort Leonard Wood, I was sent to the Republic of South Korea.
Okay.
I was there for a year, and then the last 7 months I was at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Okay. What was your rank?
I was a Spec 4, Specialist 4.
Okay. What were some of your duties or assignments while you were in South Korea or wherever?
When I was in Korea, I was a personnel records specialist, and I handled all of the personnel records for all the little people that got in trouble, either through court martial or Article 15. So I maintained their files until it was decided what was going to be done with them, and then either the records were returned to their company or they were mailed back to the states if somebody ended up in Leavenworth. So.
Oh, wow.
And then down in Fort Campbell, I was still a personnel specialist, but I handled the personnel records of one of the combat engineer companies that was on post.
Oh. How did you get over to South Korea? They just sent you over there, or did you?
It was strange. The company that I was in, after we finished our training, everybody that was drafted got sent to South Korea. Everybody that enlisted got sent to Germany.
Oh, wow.
So Germany was a 3-year tour, so that's why they sent us to Korea.
Let's see. Can you tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences?
The funniest one was when I got to South Korea. Whenever you went downtown, the Army issued you script because they didn't want you using American money down in the village. Well, apparently some of the shop owners were acquiring too much of the script, and the Army didn't like that very much. So one evening they just called an alert, and they made everybody come in and switch their script over to American money. So all of these shop owners that ended up with script down in the village at the shops and everything more or less got shafted. They didn't. They lost their money because you weren't really supposed to spend the script down there. You were supposed to exchange the script on post for South Korean currency, then go down and spend the South Korean currency. But the shop owners would take the script because they knew they could get reimbursed for it. So some of them got screwed.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Big time.
Were there any other experiences, or?
The scariest one I had was also in South Korea. While I was there, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the South Korean War, there was never a peace treaty. It's an armistice. That's still, well, in 1973, the armistice expired because it was only good for 50 years. Or not 50 years, 40 years. Anyway, it expired. And the South Koreans, or North Koreans, had been making noise all the time about they were going to do this and they were going to do that. We had an alert like a week after the armistice expired. And so everybody thought, this is it, this is war. And it turned out it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with one of the Israeli conflicts over in the Middle East. So,
oh, wow. So that would have been a little scare.
Yeah, because the unit that I was in was the 2nd Infantry Division. And they're the division that's right on the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. So we would have gotten hit first.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been very good.
So it wasn't very pleasant. But a good thing while I was there, they shortened the tour from 13 months to 12 months. So I got to come home early. So
come home a little bit early.
That was good.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Also, kind of with the experiences and stuff, were there some pranks that you or others would pull on your troops? Or
we did something really stupid one time, and everything happened to me in Korea. But the office that I was in, we handled all the enlisted records for everybody in the 2nd Infantry Division. We used to have to fill out these insurance forms and everything, and they'd get approved there, and then they'd get sent back to the Pentagon for processing. Well, one of the guys, and for the life, I know it wasn't me, but I can't remember who it was, got the bright idea just to fill one out as a joke. Well, he put Adolf Hitler as the soldier, Eva Braun as the mother,
Oh.
made up a name for a kid, and put it on there. And it was a busy day. The warrant officer that signed all of those things out wasn't paying attention, signed it. It made it all the way to the Pentagon before it got caught. And when it came back, we were all
In trouble.
Yeah. So needless to say, we didn't do anything like that. But it was, I mean, it was pretty calm most of the time.
What was the food like over there? What did you eat?
Pretty bland. I ate at the mess hall because everybody, 2nd Infantry, you could not live off post. Everybody had to live inside the compound. It was a walled compound, barbed wire, all this other stuff. So everybody had to live on post. It was bland. A lot of it. I mean, I don't know if anybody that ever went hungry. I do remember there was one month that I swear to this day we had roast beef for dinner 15 or 16 times. I mean,
They must have had a plentiful of it.
just stuff like that. But all in all, I mean, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Did you get off post a lot? And
you could go down you had to get a pass, but if you were just going down to the village, which is just right outside the walls, it was pretty much a given. Anybody could get one. I did go down to Seoul, which was about 35 miles south of where I was stationed. 3 or 4 times for like a 3-day weekend. We stayed at a hotel that the Army owned and put everybody up. And we'd go to some of the clubs and stuff, and it was nice. We got to meet some of the people, and they were very nice.
That would be fun. So what did you do for entertainment? I mean, besides going out, like for the weekends or whatever, was there?
We had like a rec center, and I can't remember who operated it, but we had games there and television and stuff like that. I loved to read, so I read a lot while I was there.
That was all on base.
It was all on base. They had a golf course, bowling alley. I think there was a swimming pool, but I never did use it. But it was okay. I mean, it wasn't real boring. I mean, sometimes you just get, especially in the wintertime when you really didn't want to get out.
Right.
The weather over there in the winter is a lot like it is here.
Oh.
So if it was really, because you had to walk everywhere pretty much. There was a bus system that went to the farthest places, but it wasn't bad. I mean, and each little company had their own movie theater.
Oh.
So that was good. Cost $1 to see a movie, so we went to the movies a lot.
Yeah, you did. Passes time by just a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
How did you stay in touch with your family while you were away, while you were over there?
Mostly letter, because no computers back then. This was in 1973, so there was no computers. A phone call was actually through a radio system. I can't remember the name of it. Something like Mars or Fars or something like that. It was like $10 or $12 a minute or something like that.
Wow.
So I didn't call home very often, maybe 4 or 5 times the whole time I was there. But I did get to come home halfway through my tour. So I came home for a month in June or July. I think from the middle of June to the middle of July, because I was home for my wife's birthday. So
that would be nice.
That was good.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the only personal leave you got, or did you get a couple other times?
Yeah, not just those 3-day passes, like 3 or 4 times down to Seoul. Other than that, but I mean, we would get off like at noon on Friday, and you didn't go back until probably 8 o'clock, 8:30, something like that on Monday. And we worked regular like office hours because we handled paperwork and everything. So we were a lot luckier than some of the other units. Some of the tank units and some of the artillery guys, they didn't have it as well. I mean, we had a 3-story brick barracks and hot water all the time. So, I mean, we were very lucky. Those poor guys, not so much.
Not so much, yeah. Well, I'm glad you did. Let's see here. Did you do or have anything special for good luck while you were over there? I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, I got drafted, so I didn't consider much of it luck. I mean, I had a good time, and I would not change a single thing. that happened. I mean, I think it was worth it. Plus, I got an education out of it, paid for my college degree, so I can't gripe. No, I mean, probably the funniest thing that ever happened was the division was going to do some maneuvers, and they were going to use pretty much everybody in the division to do them. And the second in command of the division, he was a brigadier general, was going to come out and watch the division commander was gone someplace. And so he was going to go out and he was going to watch the exercises and everything. So they decided he needed a tent. So they recruited me and about 7 or 8 other guys. And we trained for a week to put this tent up for this guy. So he, in case it rained, he wouldn't get wet. Turned out he never even showed up. Something came up, so he didn't go. So we went, set the tent up. It was up for an hour. We took it back down, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
That was pretty goofy, but
do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
When they tell you. What did you think of your officers and fellow soldiers?
You know, they're pretty much like anybody else. I liked a lot of them. Some of them I didn't care so much for, but I mean, I was lucky. I was in a good unit. During my training, I was in a good unit in Korea and then again at Fort Campbell. So there were some really good guys in there. A couple of the guys that were with me at Fort Campbell, we were in Korea together, so I knew them.
Nice.
But like I said, I was only in Fort Campbell from probably the middle of January until the middle of August, and then I got out. So it really wasn't there long enough to, to get to know, a whole lot of people, but everybody was nice.
Did you
Did some
keep
good
friendships with some of them? Like,
I kind of stayed close to one guy for a little while, but we lost touch a few years back, and I haven't seen him or any of the other guys in probably years.
Have you ever been to like a reunion when you were in contact with them? And
I don't know that Second Infantry ever has, or I imagine the 101st has reunions, but I've never gone. I don't even go to my high school's reunions. So I mean,
yeah,
I just
people you knew, and so. So you probably didn't see then any combat or anything like that.
No. We were, like I said, the closest I ever came was being assigned to the 2nd, but nothing ever happened. I mean, the only time I ever held a rifle was the 2 times I had to qualify, and that was it. I mean, and I never, and guys in my position back then, I mean, I don't know how it is now, but we didn't see weapons. Only the infantry guys pretty much saw weapons. I mean, you'd see a guy walking around with one sometimes on post, but other than that,
you just didn't have them.
We didn't. We weren't issued them. I mean, we had one issued to us, but it was kept locked up. And like I said, the whole time I held it one time when I had to qualify in Korea. That was it.
So it was pretty safe over there when you were outside of the barracks, or
it was on post. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, it was real quiet. I mean, not a lot was going on. I mean, it wasn't like back here where they were still having some of the riots and some of the war protests and stuff like that. That wasn't going on over there because everybody over there was in pretty much the same boat, I mean, so if you didn't get along with those guys, there wasn't anybody else to get along with. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's see here. Were you awarded any medals? Or
just the regular, like a good conduct medal of the National Defense Service Medal, and I think there was a medal from Korea, but other than that,
just how'd you feel about leaving the service?
Good and bad. I mean, I'd been doing it for 2 years and I knew I was going to miss it, but I kind of wanted to get out.
Be with your family.
Yeah. And I was lucky. I mean, Fort Campbell was 2.5 hours from my wife's parents' house, and 10 minutes farther on to my parents' house. So I mean, we were really lucky. She moved in with me when we got down to Fort Campbell. She couldn't go to Korea. They wouldn't let any of the wives up there. They wouldn't pay for any off-post housing or anything like that because it was considered a war zone. Even though nothing was going on, they wouldn't sanction it. So as soon as I got back to the States and got assigned to Fort Campbell, she moved in with me down there. So. But it was all right, and I wanted to get going. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to stay in the military,
right?
And by then I was 22, and I wanted to get going with what I was doing. Before I'd gotten drafted, I was working for the FBI.
Oh.
So I got drafted. As soon as I got out, I reapplied and ended up coming here in Springfield and working here until I retired at the end of 2010. So.
Well, that was good that you were able to get back in.
Oh yeah, it was good. Made all the difference in the world as far as we
Oh,
were
I'm
concerned.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and then you also used the GI Bill and got your
Got my degree.
college education.
Yeah, got a degree in history.
Yeah.
So it's Salmon State, which
Uh-huh.
is UIS now. I guess.
UIS, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was being in the military was very beneficial to me. I met some really nice people. I'm not ecstatic that it happened, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or military in general?
Yeah, because I'd never, before I went in the military, I never really met anybody that had been in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was at Fort Campbell, some of our drill sergeants had just gotten back from Vietnam. Our senior drill sergeant, matter of fact, the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks that we were in training, he was in the hospital because I guess when he was in Vietnam, he'd been wounded.
Mm-hmm.
And took some shrapnel in his head, and a piece of it was working its way out of one of his eyes. And one of the other drill sergeants, he had a limp that you could tell when he got tired because he would limp more. And I don't know if this was true, but one of the guys said that he had stepped on a punji stick in Korea, and it was having trouble healing.
Right.
But a couple of the other drill sergeants had been in Vietnam, and there was a couple of them that were getting ready to go back. So. Yeah, I mean,
So
you never
you
really
saw a lot of different things.
Yeah, you never really got to talk to people that had been in combat and what it was like. And I mean, you see movies,
right?
And it's
not
totally
the
different.
same.
No,
right.
It's not even close. So, yeah, it did. I mean, I think I'm pro-military now than I was before I went in.
Because you just didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know.
Yeah. Did you join a veterans association or organization when you got back at all?
I haven't. I've been considering it. We're getting ready to move back down to Southern Illinois as soon as we sell our house. And the local VFW down there is close, and I've got friends in that, so that's probably something I'm going to do once I get back down.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a really, not helpful, but they've really enjoyed all the things that they're doing with it. So, how has the service and experience affected your life?
Well, like I said, I mean, I'm a lot more in tune with what the military guys have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first year that I was in the military that we filed income taxes, I can't remember, it was one of the income tax companies did them for us. The guy wanted to know how we lived on the amount of money we made. And it was one of those, well, like I was in Korea most of the year, and she was living at home, going to college with her folks, so we didn't really have a whole lot of expenses.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, they never get paid enough for what they do.
No.
They probably never will. And the things the families have to go through are just terrible. So it makes me more, I don't know, in a way it kind of makes me mad because they put their lives on the line for us all the time, and we don't treat them right. We just don't.
That's true. Let's see here. Well, it looks like we've kind of gone over most everything. Do you have any last comments or stories or anything you'd like to share?
No, no, I don't think so. I mean, I've told pretty much everything that went on. I mean, it was like I said, where I was at, both places, it was pretty boring. Most fun I had was I got to ride on a helicopter down in Fort Campbell. That was fun. But other than that, I mean, it's nothing compared to what some of these other guys have done. I mean, it's just, I handled paper. I didn't do much of anything else. But
you were there. You were away from family.
I was, and they were happy about that because I know some of the guys that I was at Fort Campbell with, Fort Leonard Wood with, ended up going to advanced infantry training and ended up going to Vietnam. So, it makes you wonder what happened to them and if they're all right and everything. But
have you ever tried looking them up or?
No, I don't know. I'm not much of a joiner.
Yeah.
So I don't, I'm pretty much I don't know, I don't want to say a loner, but I pretty much stay close to family, and I've got a few friends that I'm really tight with. But yeah, it's nothing It's nothing against the military or anything. I just don't join much of anything. I'm not a member of the alumni of UIS because I'm ticked off that it's not Sangamon State anymore. So it's just crazy stuff like that,
Yeah.
But no, like I said, I wouldn't change a minute of it. Some of the times they weren't that good, but for the most part, it was nice.
Good. Well, I want to thank you for your time and your service to our country.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you.
Okay.